live?
Happy birthday, Nick. Oh, is it still your birthday? I can't remember.
No, my birthday was last month. Thank you for remembering, Greg.
Oh, well, I remembered eventually. I'm happy you escaped your vagina prison.
Yeah, I should be at least happy about that. Hey, beer tubers, welcome back to Beer Analysis 101 with your host Maxwell Starr. Tonight we're doing another bring your own beer episode, and we're featuring IPAs tonight. Hopefully we're kind of like aiming for old school IPAs or something other than hazies. So I'm actually kind of excited about this because I feel like there's so much hazy craze train like with IPAs. They've kind of dominated the style in the last like most of a decade that I do love an old school IPA, and there's also a plethora of different styles as well, which I'm kind of interested to see what everybody brought tonight. So we have no comments, so nobody's actually waiting to watch this. I got one viewer, it's probably one of us. But let's start off with who was first to show up, and that's Mr. Scott the Fuzz, who's got his elbows up and leading into the check.
Right, baby.
Smash Greg along the boards here.
I heard that's a sports ball reference.
It is a sports ball reference. Gordie Howe actually made it.
Oh, he's a sports ball player, I take it.
He is a hockey sports ball player. He said elbows up, which means
played for an American team.
He did, but which means if you come at one of us, we come back to you with elbows up, and we will, take your head off with our elbows.
How many yards? How many yards did he skate in his career? I heard it was a pretty impressive amount.
A lot of yards.
No, but he got the most touchdowns, I think.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah. No, he didn't. He got like the second or third most touchdowns.
To be fair, the metric system wasn't a thing in Canada when he was playing. So, yes, he was getting yards. Skating in yards. All right, Scott, what did you bring with you tonight?
Tonight, I brought something from my local place. Yep. Maybe Brewing. Retrograde. It's a double IPA, 8.3% alcohol by volume. An extra strong beer. It is unfiltered, unpasteurized, and independent. Maybe Brewing. It's out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, and the can says a zesty orange peel and a rich stone fruit traverse the palate of this big double IPA. Product of Canada. Now, I want to let you know, a product of Canada is when an item in Canada is made with at least 98% Canadian things in the can or the bottle, and it's made in Canada at 98%. When you're talking made in Canada, it means at least 51% of the item is Canadian. And packaged in Canada means absolutely shit. So when you go to Superstore, not Sobeys, of course, not Sobeys. When you go to Superstore, you'll see a whole bunch of signs that says, "Oh, this product is packaged in Canada." Well, no shit, it's packaged in Canada. But is it made in Canada, or is it a product of Canada? You don't know.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anyway, that's my elbows up comment of the day.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Mr. Fuzzball. Let's move on to Mr. Lee of High Tide and Vibe. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good. How are you, Nick?
I'm not doing too bad. Slight headache, but I'll live.
I mean, you're a slight headache to the rest of us, too, so it's only
You're
fair.
not wrong.
So similar somewhat to Scott here. I'm sort of skirting the rules a little bit by doing a double IPA. We were kind of like vaguely talking, just regular IPA or whatever. But this one kind of fits into really old school regular IPA anyway, as far as like the alcohol and shit goes. This is from Breton Brewing here in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. This is their Crazy Angus double IPA. And so this is the beefed up version of their regular Black Angus, which is kind of a West Coast IPA in style. Like it's got Centennial, Citra, Cascade, and I can't remember what the other hops are. There's like 4 C's. And So some of that stuff gives slightly tropical things, and they play that up on the can, like, oh, tropical notes and stuff like that. But I recall, like, at least the regular Angus is pretty dank, more West Coasty, and so this is a beefed up version of that. And it's named after Angus McCaskill, who was a sort of folklorish, real person, but kind of a folklorish giant from the Maritimes who used to do feats of strength, including picking up giant anchors from ships, which eventually led to his undoing because one of them slipped and impaled him on the side, and he died from blood poisoning.
Sounds like he's the original Festivus guy.
Well, or Goose Clap. Goose Clap. You know who Goose Clap is?
Yes,
he's a Goose Clap.
Yeah. Goose Clap.
Gloose Cap. Gloose Cap.
The
Goose Clap.
Yes, the mythical Mi'kmaq giant figure. Yes.
Yeah.
I used to watch CBC or something produced like heritage stuff about that, like way back in the 80s. It was probably all made in the 70s, but used to fascinate me. Oh shit, there's this whole like cool mythology going on that I'd never heard of. And what is that fucking TikToking going on?
I was wondering who has the epic clock going on.
Yeah,
it's not me.
So, sorry, that is me.
Time out.
I feel like I'm sitting on a bomb. Like,
I was wondering who that was. I'm like, you have a pretty epic clock going.
It's a really loud clock.
Pretty epic clock going.
But yeah, this sits at 7.5%. So like, not super. Not that doesn't really fit into double IPA territory anymore as far as alcohol goes. Most people would argue, kind of thing. So I kind of just consider this really just kind of a regular IPA, just like a slightly beefed up one. I'd almost say like, how they'd say like robust porter instead of imperial porter. It's like the in between a porter, and it's kind of like a robust IPA.
What's the ABV?
7.5. So
yeah,
okay, it's all right.
It's pretty.
I mean, Bone Shaker's considered a regular IPA at 7.1. So
yeah.
Do you know
that's
Nick,
a little on the lower side. What,
Nick? You know the islands that are in the Reversing Falls?
Yeah. What about?
Apparently, in lore, Goose Cap.
Goose Cap. Yeah. Apparently, there was this epic battle between Glooscap and the Great Beaver, where Glooscap used his mighty hammer to smash the dam out from the bottom of Reversing Falls, and the remains of the dam landed and became Partridge Island.
Yep.
I think there's like a story about that. There's like a big statue of Glooscap on the in Willistook Park, which is where Centricare was, up across from pretty much across the Sims Corner intersection from Moosehead. So, all right, let's move along. There's gotta read more about the Glooscap legend because it's some epic shit. It's like almost like Norse.
It's
all right.
It's Micmac legend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Lee. Let's go over to Greg. Greg can tell us about the great story of Great Beaver. I think it's a different kind of Great Beaver. He's been getting lots of Great Beaver.
Well, I can't tell you about Great Beaver, but I can tell you about my beer, which happens to be from Great Lakes. So what a surprise there. So, I was actually real excited because I expected Jamie to be on tonight's show. But as it turns out, Jamie's kind of a dick because this beer has an awful lot of hops to it. In fact, before I even reveal the beer, I'm going to drink it out of my beer glass that literally has a hop on it. It's a hop little character on it. I got it, given to me kind of by Ewart, who, for those of you who don't remember, Ewart, good friends with Carrie, which I don't know if you guys remember Carrie. But anyway, the two characters from past beer episodes. And I got this glass, and then I got the perfect beer to put in it. It's Sea Student Centennial Centric IPA. It's something new they came out with. I've never tried it before. I mean, literally only came out last Thursday. And it's got a hop on it, so it'll go perfect in this hop glass. So when Jamie's watching this tomorrow, I want Jamie to see all the hops because he loves hops on his beer cans and glasses.
Sea Student. That sounds like me in high school.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's pretty much me throughout my educational career. So, yeah, so there it is. It is a West Coast IPA, and that's about all I know about it. And oh, look, it's even got a little picture of people graduating on the back. And look, they all have little hop. They all have little hop sweaters on. Isn't that cute?
Oh,
Yeah,
cute. Cool story, bro.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my interesting beer, and I have no legend behind it, unfortunately.
oh
No. You must have had some and got some great beer afterwards.
Yeah, we'll you know what, Nick? In honor of you, we'll just say that somehow at the end of season 3 of Twin Peaks, this beer was created. Boom, origin story.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the fireman kind of breathed it into existence.
Basically,
it was created in the Beaver-Nomicon.
Beaver-Nomicon.
Okay.
Wow. Careful, say it too many times and radar will show up.
Yeah,
it's true. All right,
chances are you'll have a bone shaker.
You're always shaking your bone. All right, so my turn to introduce my beer for tonight, and of course, I was thinking of like this whole day would be like old school IPAs, which I didn't stick to because I'm thinking like it's really kind of hard to get West Coast stuff as much as I love them. So yeah, it's just like anything other than a hazy, basically. Inadvertently, I actually picked one up that does name drop West Coast on the label. It says. I'll read the blurb on it here in a moment when I do my history on it. But this is from a brewery up in Miramichi, New Maritime Brewing.
I picked one of those up too.
Some friggin' cold IPA. 7% ABV. It's probably the weakest one here tonight.
No, mine's
what was yours, Greg? What was your percentage in yours again?
6%.
Oh, I beat Greg. All right. So I'll read the blurb on it when I get to my history on it because I really got nothing else to talk about. But yeah, let's go to the comments, which we don't have. So let's skip across and go over to Scott, who's copycatting me on the beer here tonight.
When I go out to get beers, I get like 4 or 5 of them, right? So this is one of the ones that I picked up, like to have as a side beer or whatever, right?
It's a maintenance beer.
Well, no, I got maintenance beers too.
All right, yeah. You're up. Let's talk about your other beer, your Maybe.
Yeah, so this one here from Maybe Brewing. So retrograde DIPA, double IPA, 8.3%. Says it's a strong beer. We went to Maybe Brewing, did we not, Nick?
We did.
They have some good, delicious beers out there. It was one of our stops in our bike tour.
Yeah, right? Like it was the place where we started and stopped our first bike ride.
Right.
When I don't even know if we stopped in there for a pint. We just left the car there the entire day and then came back.
No. Yeah, we had a pint at the end.
Oh, we did. Oh, but it was without Andrew because he had to go home and tend to his now ex-wife.
Right.
Anyway.
Yep.
Right.
So
what was that? What was that little passive aggressive shit under your breath there? Like what's that going on?
There's something there.
Because Andrew's a good friend of mine. That just happened that his wife left. Anyway, so
that's great to bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the internet knows.
So what you're saying? She's single.
Nobody knows who he is, though.
No, she's taken.
Oh, she left.
She has a boyfriend now.
That's
how she already has new dick.
Well, she posted about.
That's how I found it.
Technically speaking, the internet knows because she posted a relationship status change.
True.
Well, does that mean he's single for I don't know what he likes to do, but for the ladies or possibly even for gentlemen, he's available.
Yes, as far as I know.
I'm going to be the bigger person here and just apologize to this Andrew character. Sorry for them bringing up your dirty laundry live on the internet. Like,
we're completely relying on the fact he probably won't watch this show.
Yeah, I mean, his laundry's probably dirty because he doesn't have a wife to clean it for him anymore.
Oh,
wow.
That was both sexist and insensitive.
All right, Scott, your beer.
So
we did go to Maybe's.
Yeah. We did go to Maybe's. It was very nice in there. It used to be an old warehouse. But anyway, they had some good selections in there. I don't know if this was one of them. It is an unfiltered beer and unpasteurized, so it should be drank fresh, right? It is a little dark in color. The head stays quite well, lacing very good. It smells great. It doesn't have the very. It's not a West Coast. It's definitely New England style or East Coast IPA. So it doesn't have that really strong pine taste to it. It says on the can that it has orange citrus in it, orange peel, zest, and a rich stone fruit. Both those notes come through on this beer, quite strong. It is a very smooth tasting double IPA. You can't really kind of sweet. You can't really taste the alcohol content in this, but you do taste the orange and the stone fruit in it. I don't know. I'm really enjoying it. I have not had this before, but I'm really quite enjoying this product. Now, do you want me to score it as an IPA or a double IPA, Nick?
Well, you don't have to score it yet.
Okay, well, yeah, so I won't score it yet.
You're premature, Scott.
No.
You're doing premature scotulation here.
Right.
So, yeah.
But yes,
I always say score it based on what it says on the label because that's what they're selling you.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll tell my scores. I'll tell my scores later. But anyway, quite good. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, like you can really taste the flavor notes that the can says. So very good.
All right.
I encourage you to pick it up if you can find it.
Yes, I've actually had it before.
Way to sink my ship there, Nick.
There you go. Well, I mean, never mind. All right, so let's go to bring up Lee. Lee can talk about his beer.
Yeah, so I definitely have a fairly lengthy history now of Brighton Brewing. Their Black Angus especially is kind of like a go-to. Like they have the 12 packs of them, and like I think it's what 6.9%, 12 pack at 6.9% IPAs that are like West Coast-ish with a little bit of a tropical dash to them. So I like those quite a bit. They get the job done. And I've had this a few times, the Crazy Angus. I reviewed it like 2 years ago on my channel, so I'm fairly familiar with it. I pick it up every once in a while when I want something a little bit more, like I was saying, robust for an IPA. I'm going to try later tonight, by the way. This isn't an IPA, it's just a pale ale, but I actually mistakenly thought, oh, this must be, I didn't look at it close enough. I thought, oh, this must be the like India Session Ale version of Black Angus, but it's not. It's just a pale ale at 4.5%. They're tiny Angus, but no, that's kind of my history with this one. I've had it frequently, so there you go.
Nice.
Very good.
All right. Let's go over to Greg, and I'm pretty sure there's not much history other than Greg's extensive history of GLB. This is new, you said, isn't it?
I mean, I have had GLB before, but yes, this is new. So I started out about, maybe there, and I've drank that much. So there you go. That is my extensive history. As you can tell, well, maybe you can't, but this beer is the second one they've actually brought out in the last little while that has a very bone shakery vibe to it. Looks like a bone shaker, and well, I'll let you know if it tastes like a bone shaker.
Of course, it's really close to a bone shaker.
It is pretty close. Not as close to the other one they released like 2 years ago, but not 2 weeks ago. But it's definitely got some bone shaky vibes.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Thank you, Greg. Let's put me up on screen here, and I'll talk about New Maritime. I have had a chance to have a few beers from New Maritime. I'm not really sure if I've had this one. I'm trying to remember. I think me and Scott, we visited this brewery on a trip up to northern New Brunswick a few years ago, and we didn't stay there for long. We just raided the fridge and kept going. so we kind of wanted to get going.
Oh, we stayed there for a bit. Didn't we have? No, we didn't have one in house.
We didn't have one there. I'm kind of wondering, like, what did I know? We reviewed something and I posted it recently.
We reviewed it in Chalet, didn't we?
Yeah, we had the New Maritimes, the very best IPA.
Right.
So, like, a little backstory on this one here. They call this one Some Friggin' Cold IPA, but one of their main IPAs is Some Friggin' Good IPA. So this is kind of a play on it, like a cold IPA version of it. The blurb on the back of the can says, filling the gap between a West Coast IPA and a European lager, this cold IPA is bright, clean, refreshing, and delicious. With a balanced bitterness, medium sweetness, low haze, and high expectations, it's time to enter the void and take flight with Some Friggin' Cold. Proudly brewed in Miramichi, so it's a product of Canada. Technically, it doesn't say it is, but I'm just going to guess because...
How do they infuse the cold into the beer?
It's brewed at a cold temperature.
But doesn't come to you cold. So it could be Some Friggin' Cold warm IPA.
Right. Okay. So, you know what? This is actually a good excuse since my face is up on screen. I'm just going to do a Google search here. And what is the exact... Yeah, what is a cold IPA? It is a IPA fermented at lower temperatures than it was normally used to ferment an ale. So it uses a kind of a slightly modified strain of yeast that can consume sugars and produce alcohol at lower temperatures. It's kind of like I guess you want to say like alt beer or Kolsch, but with lots of hops.
Yeah,
not quite like that, but that idea. All right.
It's Alan Legier approved.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
It's been a lot of years. It's been a lot of years, people. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Too soon?
Is he still in jail? I mean, is he still in prison?
I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah. Or didn't he die? I can't remember.
I don't even know who that is.
He's a serial killer in New Brunswick.
Oh, I should know that, but I don't.
Yeah. No,
I'm gonna learn about him.
He's 77, so look him up on. He's still incarcerated. How many? I remember going on a camping trip or something with my Cub Scout group at around the same time he escaped from the hospital and he was at large. So I remember all the kids like telling scary stories like, "Oh, Alan Legier's on the loose and shit."
According to Wikipedia, he is still alive.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. More murders and eventual capture. Yeah, it was captured again and recaptured in November 24th, 1989. So that must have been when I was. Well, I would have been 9, but I guess I was in Cub Scouts at that point. But I remember that happening anyway. So, does it say? I'm reading his Wikipedia article. How many people did he kill? He killed. He had 7 victims and 2 of them survived.
Yeah,
he's a rapist, arsonist, and serial killer. Greg would like him.
Yeah, sounds like a nice fella. And
he's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Made in Canada.
We should not be relying on U.S. serial killers. We should have our own homegrown serial killers right here that we can celebrate and listen to podcasts about.
Exactly.
True. We could. You know what? We really should have some more Canadian content in that sense. Where we've there's probably other there's also the story of that the guy that Dan likes, the pig farmer in BC.
Oh, Picton.
Yeah, there's probably other Canadian serial killers too. You just don't know enough about them because
I think we meet the 33% Canadian content requirement, so we're good.
Right.
Yeah. We have a lot of lame serial killers that have killed 1 or 2 people. Well, not 1, but 2 or 3 people. It's kind of are you really a serial killer?
Well,
you're really a serial killer. You just repeated it once. Does that make you a serial killer, or is you just some fucking wannabe?
Are you serious about serial killers?
Serial killers, I can murder a bowl of cereal. Fruit Loops.
How about that? And how about that Green Jello album from back in the '90s? Serial Killer. There we go.
Little pig, let me in. Not from the hair of my chinny chin chin. Music reference. Very good. Get it. I like do the Beavis and Butthead shit. All right. Okay, so yeah, so my canning date on here, I picked this up thinking it was, I'm not sure if this is December 6th, 2024, or maybe June 12th. I can't decide. I don't want to give too many spoilers about the flavor of my beer, but I'm wondering.
What do you mean, the flavor of your beer? That's what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, I'm supposed to save that for the review section, right?
Are we talking about the review section? I reviewed it. I didn't get a score, but I reviewed it.
Yeah, so we should.
You're ruining everything.
I mean, if you want, we can circle back and actually talk about her shit.
We might as well, because we obviously have nothing else to talk about, so we must just have a short show.
There we go. Hey, Scott, go ahead and blather about your.
I already did.
He just has to give a score at this point.
Yeah. So
what do you think? Style and overall, out of 10.
So for the style of a double IPA, I'm going to give it an 8.5 because I think it's kind of weak on the IPA-ness, the extra, the je ne sais quoi, right? Like the tartness that an IPA gives out. I think it's a little bit too sweet for even a double IPA. Not saying I like it, but I'm saying that's what it is. For personal preference, I'm going to give it a 9 because I do like it being a little bit more sweet. I do like the fact that it's not as tart in an IPA. Would I pick one of these up again? Absolutely. Am I starting to feel the 8.3% alcohol? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so it's something I would definitely pick up again. And great notes of that orange citrus peel, and that's stone fruit. Really, quite a sweet deal to it. So yeah, very good. At the end of the day, very good.
Right on. So that's an 8.5 and a 9.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Let's roll on over to Mr. Lee.
All right. So with the Crazy Angus, I think the biggest difference I find with this from the Black Angus is it is more like tropical and kind of perfumey in that way compared to the Black Angus, which is a little bit more condensed and like kind of dank and more heavy on like kind of pine notes and stuff like that, where this has like grapefruit, pine, and the more tropical citrus stuff kind of comes out in it. This sort of nebulous, sort of tropically kind of fruit punch kind of thing almost comes out a little bit. But at the same time, it's not to the level where it's like an East Coast thing where I just totally hate it, like a New England IPA or anything like that. It's not, I wouldn't call it a hazy. It is definitely unfiltered, but it's not like one of these contraptions where they put like a bunch of fucking oatmeal in it or something to like fucking haze it up. Not super, again, like I was saying, how the alcohol is light for a double IPA these days. Can't really taste the alcohol. Not super bitter, and like no real hop burn or anything like that. I think where this excels as a double IPA is just like the actual flavor itself. I think the aroma and the flavor both really do punch pretty big. So like it's just really nice to smell. Like everything you smell in the nose transfers right to the taste. So like you're getting all those Centennial and Citra and Cascade hops coming out here. but you're also getting a little bit of caramel malt as well, kind of popping up. So that helps balance things a little bit, although it's not like 50-50 balanced, but it's noticeably there. Yeah, it drinks really super smooth for a double IPA. So honestly, really just an IPA, but I do kind of give it credit for being like a super drinkable double IPA. It's like I was thinking of the Moosehead double IPA that came out a couple years back, and I mentioned
we don't talk about that.
Well, I do. I kept like I had that around the same time I had this, and when I did my review, and I mentioned in my review that like the Moosehead double IPA that they had released at the time was like perfect beginner double IPA for somebody to like get into, because it's like super safe, super easy to drink, but gave you more than just a regular IPA would. This is like the mid-level. This is like the next step. This beer is. This is like, hey, you want something a little bit more flavorful, a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bigger in alcohol. That's Crazy Angus. I kind of want them to even go a step up and like make an actual double IPA, Imperial IPA in the modern sense. And, they could call it like, I don't know, Crack Angus or something. I don't know, something stupid, but
because it's crack.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But as this sits as a double IPA, I've had a lot worse. I think this works for what it's supposed to be. If you look at it, the context is like a traditional IPA kind of thing. This probably works as a double IPA like 20 years ago, a lot better. So like looking at that in that context, I give it an 8.5 for style, and my own personal preference 8. I like it a lot. I'll pick it up again in the future. So there you go.
Right on. Sounds good. C'est bon. Thank you, Lee. Let's go over to Mr. Gregory.
Hello, Nick. How are you today? So
I'm
just
tired.
so you know, so the other. Oh, I'm sorry you're tired, Nick. Did you not get enough sleep?
Nope.
Well, hopefully tonight you're not going to stay up too late and have to call in sick on a Thursday. Because what kind of monster would do that?
Yeah, like yeah.
And Brendan would call him out on it.
Brandon's off this week, so they're kind of understaffed as is. So
why isn't he here?
I have no idea.
An asshole.
He doesn't sound like a hashtag good friend. Anyway, just so you know, the ominous other beer I'm talking about, because I know not all of you pay attention to everything I do, but I brought this on another beer anal. So it's the Over the Top. I know it's backwards, but it's Over the Top Rope West Coast IPA. So they released that about 3 weeks ago, something like that, whatever it is. That to me was a massive like copy of Bone Shaker, and that's not a bad thing, but it really did taste like a Bone Shaker. Whereas, and for those of you that haven't had Bone Shaker or not familiar with it, it's an IPA, but even for its percentage, it's 7.1 is not small, but it's not massive either. But it's a very punch you in the face IPA. It's very piney, very resiny, but it's also quite kind of a heavy IPA because it's also got a pretty good maltiness to it. So and it's kind of got that distinctive flavor, which this beer has, although Bone Shaker's a little darker than this. Now this beer, I originally said it reminded me of Bone Shaker, and that's not too far off. But what it actually reminds me of is Bone Shaker's little brother, Space Invader. God damn, do I love these just giant cans? Like how ridiculous! Nobody fucking needs this much beer in one sitting, but it's great. Why not? So it reminds me of that. So basically, the difference between them, and they're not that different beers. They both seem to have a very similar maltiness to them. I would probably guess they may even have the same ingredients. I don't know on the malt front, but they seem to prioritize hops that are a little bit softer, a little less bitter. Rather than the pininess, you're getting a little bit more of the fruitiness, maybe a little more grapefruit, maybe a little bit of the tropical fruit. Again, it's kind of almost starts to slot into that category where before hazy became a thing, the old the old East Coast IPA, where it's basically a West Coast, but just a little fruitier, a little less bitter, a little more approachable before they just decided to go full on into hazy. Vermont and hazy and all that New England bullshit. Which, I mean, they can be good too, but there's just too much of them out there right now. So that's basically what this reminds me of. If the Overtop Rope was a Bone Shaker clone, this is essentially a Space Invader clone. And I'm not saying they went out to do that, but I have this feeling they were at the very least inspired by it. I mean, I can't imagine their brewer
intimidated by it.
Well, I can't imagine their head brewer hasn't at least had this a few times. I mean, pretty much everyone in Toronto that likes IPA has had this because it's pretty much a basic bitch Toronto IPA, like, you know. But so again, this is good. It's not as good as the Over the Top Rope one, which sold out fairly quickly before I could get more of it, and because it was delicious, and I'm actually not surprised, or maybe it's made very small batches of it. But yeah, this one I quite like on its own. It does have a little bit of a for lack of a better word, kind of like a biscuitiness on the back end that I don't recall getting on this one. It's definitely not that bitter. So if you're not into IPAs or you don't love piney bitterness, this one's definitely more approachable than a lot of IPAs are. And it does sort of remind me at least of stuff like Mad Tom that is kind of I feel over the years that I think it used to be more bitter, and I think it's evolved to become a little more approachable over the years because I think they probably want to attract more people without actually doing the Bellwoods things where they just fucking take their West Coast IPAs and full on turn them into hazes and just don't tell anyone. So I think Muskoka's probably modified the recipe of Mad Tom to kind of be that way, and what this kind of reminds me of. It's not necessarily a bad thing if you're looking for just bitter, ultra hardcore West Coast IPA. This probably wouldn't be where I'd point you towards, but I also don't think you'd be disappointed by this either. It just may not quite scratch that super bitter itch either. You know, it's like those people that like hardcore sours that just want to fucking pucker their lips every time they drink it, and you give them something that's more balanced. Like, hey, this is a little bit of fruit in it, and it, you know, maybe it's still sour, but it's balanced. And, you know, someone like me is like, oh, thank you, that's much better. Whereas someone who really loves sours is like, no, I want my insides to pucker up into a butthole because I want it so sour.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a good soundboard.
That was a good one.
I'm just impressed you said butthole.
And Nick, I'll always bring butthole to your show anytime I can.
Right.
Here you go, Jamie. There's your sound clip for you.
All right.
Anyways, I think I've talked enough. I like this beer. I'm not in love with it, but I like it. It's going to be a solid West Coast IPA. I do feel the West Coast IPA is a little lacking in bitterness, so I'm gonna go 7.5 on it. But my personal enjoyment, I'm gonna go 8.5 on it because it is quite good. I think it's just if you're really being a stickler for it being a West Coast IPA, I do feel it's lacking a little bit in bitterness, but it's still a very tasty beer.
Nice.
I actually wish my wife was down here because I would love for her to try this, because oftentimes when I think a beer is not bitter, I have her try it and she just tells me it's the bitterest thing she's ever had in her life. So I'm like,
send Arnold.
Sometimes it's all. Well, I'll have you know, Nick, that Arnold is
Arnold's asleep.
He's out of commission right now, as is Bella. So
and Greg, I must tell you, your wife came up as someone that I should friend on Facebook. They're like suggested friends, and I'm like,
your wife came.
You can friend her on Facebook. I got no issues with that. It's when you know the weird thing that weirds me out on Facebook. I mean, I don't add that many people on Facebook anyway because I don't give a fuck.
Neither. Yeah.
But the thing that weirds me out is when it tells me I should be friends with people's kids, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
bad Facebook, bad.
No, there should be a digital there should be a digital ID connected to minors that only allow them in certain parts of the internet. Facebook ain't one of them.
It's just like my cousin, high school friend or something. Like, their kid's got a social media account. Hey, you want to add a friend? Add this guy. I'm like,
well, or I mean, there could be. I mean, let's be honest. Facebook's already kind of family friendly to begin with. I mean, maybe just have it so, like, you know, like I don't know. I feel like a grown man shouldn't be suggested, hey, you want to be friends with a child? Like I just don't feel they should be doing that. So like, yeah, maybe have an algorithm that doesn't do that. Maybe just say, hey, I'm 12 years old. Suggest other 12-year-old friends, not fucking
put aside the pedophilic weirdness of the whole thing. It's just like, what the fuck do I have in common with a 12-year-old kid? I should not be talking to them at all unless I'm related to them in some way.
Do you think your wife would accept my friend request?
Yeah.
Would my wife? Yeah, 100%. She likes you. Even more so since you tried to hit on her sister. So I mean, she loves.
So, I was going to say, do you think your sister-in-law would be?
Oh yeah, because her sister-in-law would probably notice at some point that, oh wait, he's
Agnes refers to Scott as the icebreaker because he tried to break the frozen waters in the north.
Wow.
Well, I'll have you know that I'm not friends with my sister-in-law on Facebook, and I think Agnes is friends with her, but I don't think they talk on Facebook all that often. So I don't think they definitely would not notice. She would definitely not be like, "Oh no, Scott is friends with Agnes." No, she wouldn't notice that at all.
Wouldn't give a shit.
No, nor even if she did, would she care? She's like, okay, Scott's a disgusting fella, but luckily he's in Canada and we're terrifying him right now. So fuck you, Scott.
You know what's funny? And I was a perfect gentleman all the way up till that point, and it was just a throwaway joke. And now I'm a disgusting animal.
Yep.
I've been a perfect gentleman 90% of the time for the last 17 years, and believe me, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, you know what does matter? Keeping things
speaking of people who are offending online.
Yeah, let's go back to me, who gets offended at just about everything these days. Well, I don't mean to offend New Maritime on this one. You know what? I'm drinking this one here, and I'm really not sure. Is that canning date on here? You can see it. Is that December 6th or is that June 12th? I could have sworn that when I picked this can up, I checked other New Maritime beers, and it was December. I don't know. I just feel like when I'm drinking this, I feel like the hops are a little on the faded side. Maybe that's just the fault of the fact that it's a cold IPA, or maybe unbalanced beer. But my thoughts is that it's got a nice, like very light, not quite grapefruit, but like passion fruit, a little bit of hint of grape, slightly floral aroma. The flavor on it, it's very light and sudsy. And it's kind of got this flavor profile on it, which is, and this is going to make it sound worse than maybe it is. It kind of has the flavor profile of one of those IPAs that are the non-alcoholic IPAs. Like non-alcoholic beer's got its own like caveats where it kind of has some weird flavors to the back end of it, where it doesn't really have the alcohol or sugars to back it up. This one here, amazingly enough, kind of almost tastes like a non-alcoholic beer despite being 7% ABV. It's got that kind of like faded like hops with not enough sweetness to back it up, so you get, I always think of it in my mind as tasting the ass end of the hop, because it's that part of the hop that's supposed to be masked by sweetness in a balanced beer, but isn't. It's got that resiny vegetal kind of taste that it just comes off as a strange, like weird bitterness that I'm not really strong on. I mean, it's not a bad beer. One thing I really do like about it is that it's nice and light and effervescent. It does drink quite easy. It's just when I'm drinking it, I get this weird kind of resiny bitterness and not enough sweetness that makes me think that, how old is this thing? So, yeah, for a cold IPA, I've had better cold IPAs, but I don't hate it, so I'm going to give it a 7.5. Overall enjoyment, I'm going to give it a 7. Yeah, which is rough because, you know what, I'm a little middle of the road on New Maritime stuff, but generally I do like their stuff. This one, I don't know, I'd probably buy it again on a whim. Like, I originally actually bought this can because I was going to do a beer review for it, which I technically am. But I was just thinking like, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of New Brunswick stuff and do reviews on them. And then when IPA night came up, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to use it for tonight. I don't want to go to the liquor store. Yay, I'm lazy. Go figure. But at the same time, I don't know. I might yet do a full review on this thing here and say what I think. Maybe I'll get a fresher can this time.
What did you say your canning was?
My canning on it says 6/12/2024. So I don't know. Is that day, month, year, or is it year, month, day? Or
yeah, I have the same one.
You know what I mean? Like month. Is it month first or day first? So if it's
Are any of the numbers above 12?
No.
Nope.
Oh, because I would have made it easier.
So it's six. It says 6/12/2024.
I'm assuming that's the 6th of December.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
That would be my assumption. And if that's the case, this beer is 3 months old.
Well, I mean, isn't that a seasonal of some sort where it's got like the snowman and shit on it? And it figures like that's a Christmassy motif, right?
The penguin on it.
But I feel like New Maritime makes this thing year round.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure if it's a seasonal or not. I should really.
Well, fuck them, those obtuse bastards.
Either way, it's only getting a 7.5 for style and an overall of 7 on this thing.
Jeez.
So it'll leave you cold. All right. Okay, so moving right along here. There literally is no comments tonight.
Yeah.
There's 2 viewers. I mean, somebody's out there watching. Jamie, we love you. We're sorry that Greg's an asshole. And
I don't know. Before you suck up to Jamie, I mean, literally, it's IPA night. Jamie could have gotten an IPA and joined us. So fuck you, Jamie.
Yeah,
we're not fucking catering.
Yeah, maybe he's doing the Alberta thing and driving his wife around town after he gets off of work, and it's like.
Or maybe like their premier, he's just a fucking MAGA. Are you a MAGA, Jamie?
Dude, okay, don't go that far. All right, so
this is what I'm gonna say about Jamie being friends with us.
It's an urban legend that never happened.
Listen. For the record, I'm not saying Jamie for sure 100% is a MAGA, but I'm just saying he should be here tonight to let us know that he's not a MAGA. That's all I'm saying.
You're right.
Thank you.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
That
was great.
That was well timed.
Wow, that was done. That was good.
All the American beer tubers are boycotting Canadian beer tubers right now. I know. Maybe that's why there's nobody watching.
And that's not all you Americans watching the show, which is exactly zero of you.
Yeah.
We love you all. All you Americans are great. Unless you're an asshole, then we don't like you.
Yeah,
total
anyway,
you know who you are.
Yeah, we love you. Your president's a dickhead. So let's go along to back to the start and say, Scott, of all the IPAs here you heard here tonight, which is the least poison?
Mine.
Now you got to pick somebody else's.
I know. I am very disappointed in all your selections. Yeah. Good call. I am totally enamored with my drink, and like listening to the reviews of the rest of you, I'd still rather mine. But if I had to choose someone else that wasn't me, I'm gonna go with Lee.
All right.
Yay.
You were correct.
All right, let's go over to Lee and say, Lee, of all the beers you heard here tonight, which one would you rather have had?
If someone takes your picture, they steal your soul.
Whoa.
Ooh.
So, Nick's, yours sounded like it was bad out of the gate because it's old. So, hard to judge on that one. I just don't like, I was thinking of maybe voting for Scott, but I don't like the cut of his jib anymore after all the smack talk he just threw out. Jesus. And, I really like Bone Shaker, and Greg's saying that's just kind of a Bone Shaker adjacent, maybe slightly not as good, but
no, Junior Bone Shaker.
Junior's Bone Shaker,
Space
which
Invader.
is this guy.
Space Invader.
Which is still very tasty.
You're right again.
Yeah. I gotta go with Greg.
All right. Okay, so that means that I'm moving along to me, and no, I'm moving over to Greg. Fuck. Hi, Greg.
Nick.
Sorry,
That's okay.
Greg was here for a second.
That's okay. All us white people look the same to you, Nick.
Yep. I love how he just sort of has this grin and takes a drink and then continues.
I do. I'm having a Doppelbock now. This is. It's not the greatest Doppelbock in the world, but it's a nice change. I've been drinking too many IPAs lately, so this is just a malt bomb. I like it.
Malt liquor.
So I do like the cut of Scott's jib, and I like the cut of Nick's jib. But unfortunately, your jibs are not going to get you the vote tonight. Lee has a beer it's not quite double IPA ABV, but it's higher ABV. I kind of like that. And I appreciate that there's a legend behind it. So there we go. I mean, really, it's an IPA. I mean, I could fucking toss the dice and vote for any of you, but whatever. Lee's got a legend. He's got slightly higher IBV. So yay, Lee gets the vote.
You're right.
Actually, I think my ABV is bigger than Lee's.
But it's
Wrong.
but how big is your legend?
Oh no, not all I got is Alan Legere.
We got you.
There you go. Plus, I mean, listen. I can't vote for either one of you because you're hair people. You have hair, and I got to stick to my bald friends, my bald brethren.
Yes.
You're putting it there.
I only have hair on this head.
Not this time.
Oh no. Fuck.
I mean, if we want to get nitpicky, if you got hair on the downstairs head, that's a little concerning because the hair shouldn't grow there.
Not on the tip.
You're right.
All right, thank you, Greg.
This is
That would fucking
taking us
hurt
on
if
a
you were
journey.
trying to have sex and you pull hair out.
This one took place.
That's a true
All right.
Sasquatch Nick right there.
Sasquatch cock. All right, let's speaking of which, let's go over to me. Okay, so what is my thoughts?
No matter your vote, Lee already wins.
Yeah, no, and
You are irrelevant.
Besides, if I voted for Greg's,
Yeah, it's true.
It would
I can
technically be a
still
tie.
tie Lee.
and
then it would be a
we'd have to
bulldog.
go to the comments to find who would win. So we could totally make this a draw, and I'm just gonna explain like what do I think of everybody's beers, and I'm gonna say that Greg's got a one. He says tastes more like a Space Invader. Space Invader is a very good beer.
Mhm.
Scott's beer is Maybe's. I've had that before. It's a delicious beer, but what would I rather have tonight? I mean, yes, of course, I'd rather have that, but of all three of you, I'd rather go for one that I haven't had. So sorry, Scott. Lee, who's got a double IPA version of a beer I have had. I wasn't crazy about the Breton Brewing beer, but this one does sound quite interesting. So, I mean, right now I'm just kind of wondering, like, holding people in suspense and wondering, like, which one do I want to pick? Like, which one sounds the most interesting? And now we have 3 viewers. We could possibly have one more person come in and vote, like for if we have a tiebreaker. But at the end of the day, we're not, because I'm picking Lee's. All right,
that is a clean sweep. That's a clean sweep.
Is the winner tonight?
Clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
Everybody but Lee voted for Lee.
Well, whenever you have a fucking legend of your beer, listen, how do you fucking sell these really expensive bottles of Ardbeg? They fucking name it after something and then tell you a legend about why this fucking goddamn whirlpool is a big thing, and here's your 200 bottle of scotch. When you have a legend behind your product, you always get bonus points.
Yep.
Is there any Gloose Cap beers?
Probably. I'm guessing there must be something Gloose Cappy out there somewhere.
I gotta look it up. Gloose Cap beer. Maybe I spelled Gloose Cap.
Maybe something Long Bay can do.
I'm gonna ask John. I'm gonna ask Jonathan Frakes what he thinks about it.
Could a plant really identify a murderer?
That's
Gloose
not
Cap
helpful,
First
Jonathan, I'm sorry.
Nation Rosé. Oh, there's a wine named after Gloose Cap. Okay,
There you go.
And there's Two Islands Brewery in Parsboro, Nova Scotia, that's got something apparently. I'm looking at their list of beers, see if they get something named after them.
Just random, since we're talking about Jonathan Franks,
No.
or however you pronounce his name. I I just randomly on YouTube got recommended watching clips from the last 2 episodes of Picard season 3, and my God, it was that good. I mean, it was just fan service out the ass, but it was just like, my God, was it just so fucking good? Like
it's the fan service everyone wanted.
It's the fan service, yeah.
Yeah, it's like my God, like my gosh, like it's I feel it's like the Star Wars we really wanted.
Everyone just wants to know that the whole crew are together and they're happy. That's all they wanted from the series.
Yeah. So here's my bit. The first two seasons of that, they weren't bad.
No,
they weren't bad.
I like the first one. The second one was boring.
Sure.
Yeah, the second one was just okay, I watched this.
But once you get to the third season, it just blows it away, right?
Yeah. The third season of Picard was just fucking phenomenal.
The
fan service up the ass.
Third season was like Star Trek First Contact Part 2, basically, is what it was.
Yep.
Like it legit, like when like Picard was ready to sit down and take his field demotion as captain, I legit had a tear in my eye. I'm just like, oh, I'm not crying, you're crying.
This one took place.
Like basically my thought was when I saw the Enterprise D come back, I'm like, yay, I'm a kid again.
I just like the creepy details where they went to that shipyard museum thing. And it's like, oh, here's the remains of Captain Kirk that they have in a pod somewhere. Okay.
And there's Voyager. We that.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's it. We have set a record for having 0 comments tonight.
Cool.
Did I do
That's
something
unfortunate
wrong?
that
Do I
nobody
smell
likes
or
us,
something?
but it's because we're
like
filthy. It's because we're filthy Canadians, and we've been ripping off the Americans for so many years that we're just like, people have had enough of us, and quite frankly, we deserve it because we are terrible.
Or maybe we advertised that we were not doing hazy IPAs, and then everybody lost interest.
Oh, we lost the Haysbro audience.
Oh,
yeah. You know, that's our audience.
That's our market share.
You know, every single person in our audience, they're just that doesn't work. Wrong. Never mind.
No.
I guess what we should say is like, what are we doing for next week's beer? We are going to do a beer next week. I'm going to take Lee off the screen, even though he's the winner. Hi, Lee. Let's talk about what are we doing next week. We're going to go do Canadian beers, as long as there's no objections.
Yep.
So it's basically going to be like, get a Canadian beer, get something that's a Canadian origin, or maybe even has a label that's got a maple leaf or
get a Molson Canadian.
That technically would apply.
I probably
would say maybe pick a beer that's got something Canadian related to it.
I mean, I feel every single week we this. Nobody here has an actual U.S. beer today, do they?
No. Well, wow. I couldn't get one because they took it off the shelves.
Yeah.
So in Ontario, it seems that they have kept the American beers. At least I'd have to research because like something like Lagunitas IPA, like that's American, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yes, but is it brewed in Canada for them?
Yeah.
I don't. That's the thing is I don't know. I'd have to do a little further research. But I have noticed American beer still seem to be listed on the LCBO website. My suspicion is, so for those of you that don't know about how the LCBO works, and maybe other liquor things in other provinces do too. Beer, I'm pretty sure they pay for ahead of time, and obviously beer has a shelf life. So it looks like they're still selling U.S. beer, and I would suspect that once they sell it, they're not going to restock it. That at least would be my suspicion. So the way that liquor works is that they don't pay for it ahead of time. You put it on the shelf. So, Jack Daniels, whatever, they put their I call it bourbon, but some people would get offended. They put their Tennessee whiskey on the shelf, and when a bottle sells, then they pay Jack Daniels their cut of the sale. Essentially, it's a fancy consignment thing, which makes sense because apparently the LCBO buys $1 billion of bourbon a year. So I guess that's the deal they have with bourbon makers. So they're taking it off the shelves, they're storing it, and apparently because people were complaining, it's like, well, why did we pay for this stock and it's getting stored? It's like, no, we haven't actually paid for this stock. It's just on hold. I'm assuming the maker could probably take it back if they wanted to, but they probably don't want to. So That's what's happening in the LCBO. But it does seem American beers are still on the shelves. I would certainly hope if they're sticking to their guns. I guess once it sells, it sells. I mean,
so here's my question: is Sam Adams on the shelf still?
So there's very little Sam Adams at the LCBO at the best of times. That's why when we were doing non-alcoholic stuff in January, I actually grabbed that 6-pack of Sam Adams non-alcoholic beer, which was fucking awful. I'll say, do not recommend, do not buy it. But just the fact they had a Sam Adams product, like you can't even get a Sam Adams Boston lager on a regular basis at the LCBO. And I like Sam Adams beer, so I don't really get why this is a thing. The current events notwithstanding, US beer is fucking amazing. Like they generally are at a higher level than Canada when it comes to brewing. So I mean, the more fucking shit I can get from Michigan or New York State, fuck yes, please, because your beer is fucking delicious. But even at the best of times, there isn't a whole lot of stuff. Sam Adams is not something that's you can regularly get, other than occasionally they bring it in.
Sam Adams has been taken off the shelf here apparently. Sam Adams, I just looked for Samuel Adams on it. I know when I was in NBL last weekend, they had Wicked Easy and Boston Lager sitting on the shelf, and now it's not even listed on the website.
I haven't seen any in SLC in years.
So I was looking at some Wicked Easy and last weekend. Last weekend they had a bunch on the shelf, so they must have taken it off.
Yeah, so sure enough, the as far as I'm aware, this before the tariffs. This is the only thing that was available, and after the tariffs, this continues to be at least somewhat available. They tell you check availability, but I mean it's still technically available because the stuff that's not available, like bourbon, is completely gone from the website. It looks like they're still selling it until it sells out, but I'm guessing they won't get more of it, which actually makes sense because if they let's say this trade war goes on for a year, 2 years, whatever, a long time. We're hoping it doesn't, but let's say it does go on for a long time.
Yeah.
The bourbon will be fine in 2 years. It's in a fucking box.
The bourbon will be okay.
It's in a fucking warehouse. Whiskey. It'll be totally fine. Wine, it's got a longer shelf life, but maybe not forever. Beer is not going to be great after about 6 months to a year, depending what it is. So, yeah, you probably want to sell that shit. Plus, I do believe, from what I've been told, they do actually pay for the beer ahead of time. So that might actually be another factor, is that they want to actually get their money that they've already put into it.
So it does not get shipped across the border. Moosehead brews Sam Adams beer and ships it across country.
Okay, interesting. If I had known that, I would not have bought it, Scott. I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. My Moose Cap boycott stands.
Moose Cap.
Yes. So Moosehead brews Sam Adams beer for Canada. So as much as Sam Adams was removed from the shelves, it actually is brewed in Canada. They just license the recipe out to Moosehead to do that. It's the same thing goes for Truly. Unfortunately, the last thing I did when I was in I was in Moosehead for was create a new product for Truly seltzers, and they were going to start making them in Moosehead to be shipped out across Canada, because it was going to be a lot easier to do that in Canada than it was to be shipping it across the border.
I mean, my hope is that stuff that's actually packaged, brewed, bottled, canned, whatever in Canada, even if it is an American product. I mean, we all know this trade war is stupid. I mean, anyone that thinks this trade war is good, you're a fucking idiot. I'm not sugarcoating it. You're a fucking idiot. The whole thing's stupid. I'm hoping that at least common sense prevails, and that, like, even if it's an American product like Sam Adams, but it's Canadians brewing, bottling it, etc.,
shipping it,
Canadian jobs. I hope that stuff continues to be on the shelf, because yes, it's an American product, and I understand the whole we want to look united type thing. It's Canadian jobs. You're fucking with Canadian jobs. Like,
but how do you know that? How do you know the difference?
Well, I would think from like this should be a government thing, that this should be part of their policy. As a consumer, it's very difficult to know the difference unless you put a fucking sticker that says, well, Lee, you're in the grocery store industry. Are you guys putting stickers and stuff on the shelf to kind of show made in Canada, made in the US?
Yep.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's no reason the liquor stores can't do that too.
Right. And so here's the thing. I was at the top of the hour. I said, in Superstore, they said, they don't say product of Canada. They don't say made in Canada. They said, what did I say? Not product or made, packaged in Canada. Right. So in the case of Sam Adams, it is packaged in Canada. So is it a Canadian product? Do you buy it still, or do you take it off the shelf?
Again, I'm going to go back to my belief that, this is going to cost jobs no matter what. Us as Canadians, and I'm more sort of saying the Canadian government, none of us are part of the government. The Canadian government should essentially make it so that regardless of how you want to define things, Canadian jobs should not be lost as a result of Trudeau, as a result of Doug Ford, as a result of whatever the names of your premiers are. They should not be costing Canadian jobs. If Canadian jobs are lost as a result of stuff Trump does, well, I mean, that happens. You can't control that. He's an idiot. But we shouldn't be doing anything to our own people. So if our people, if Canadian people are packaging whatever, Sam Adams beer, and by saying we're pulling Sam Adams off the shelf, well, suddenly we have to now let go of 25 people who normally would be doing this job. That to me is not acceptable. You should not be. Right, so we should not be doing anything to cost Canadians their jobs, as far as I'm concerned.
So I'm just going to cut this off here. Let's take this thing offline. We kind of made our point anyway. Radar's waiting in the background, but we'll talk in a second because we're taking this offline. So have a good folks. Thanks for commenting. Not passive aggressive comment, whatever. And
statistically speaking, Canadian penises are bigger than American penises. I'm just saying.
True. It's all that maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.